Standard study habits often treat the brain like a rigid linear pipeline, forcing isolated facts and formulas into memory through brute force repetition. Biological neural networks operate on a different logic, processing and binding information through specific spatial sequences. For decades, the quest for artificial general intelligence relied on a single verified axiom: the human brain is the universe's only proof that general intelligence is possible. Demis Hassabis stands at the center of this research. As a cognitive neuroscientist and the CEO of Google DeepMind, his career has been defined by a singular directive: solve intelligence, then use it to solve everything else. To build systems like AlphaGo and AlphaFold, Hassabis and his team explicitly reverse-engineered the neural mechanisms of the human mind, importing biological algorithms into digital architectures. This research into the biological instruction manual for intelligence reveals a rigorous, 6-phase cognitive architecture for human learning. Optimizing this internal hardware is the prerequisite for remaining cognitively relevant as artificial systems accelerate. In 2007, Hassabis conducted a study at University College London, focusing on patients with severe damage to the hippocampus. While the hippocampus was known for its role in memory, Hassabis tested a different capacity. He instructed these patients to imagine entirely new, fictitious future experiences based on simple cues, like walking through a museum or lying on a beach. Healthy subjects maintained a spatial coherence index of 3.68, while patients scored 0.10. Without a hippocampus, individuals only generated fragmented elements floating in a void. This formed scene construction theory. The brain is a spatial rendering engine, not a chronological hard drive. Phase 1 of the protocol, constructing the world model, dictates that you build the macro structure of a subject before its granular details. Facts without a conceptual room are biologically unnatural and prone to rapid evaporation. Mapping the foundational debates and first principles of a discipline provides the necessary architecture for specific data to bind to. This architectural approach is reflected in Hassabis's background as a lead programmer for simulation games like Theme Park and Syndicate. These games serve as ideal environments for testing intelligence because they possess strictly defined, quantifiable objective functions. Phase 2 of the protocol, defining the sandbox, requires learners to artificially constrain their study environments. Instead of vague reading goals, you must establish a specific, measurable reward function for every session. Mastering Python code, for instance, requires writing a script to solve a specific data problem rather than just reading a manual. This binary success-failure metric allows the brain's internal reinforcement mechanisms to adjust based on feedback. Phase 3, algorithmic search, utilizes the brain's internal simulation engine. Once you understand the rules of your sandbox, you can mentally simulate what-if scenarios to predict how variables interact. Using these game design principles transforms academic consumption into an active, predictive process. When a rat navigates a maze, specific neurons fire in sequence. During subsequent rest, researchers observed those exact neuronal patterns are rapidly replayed. This experience replay allows the hippocampus to integrate fragile daily events into the neocortex, converting short-term data into permanent knowledge. DeepMind explicitly imported this biological mechanism into artificial architectures to master classic Atari games. Their DeepQ network used an artificial replay buffer, allowing the AI to repeatedly train on past experiences offline. Standard cramming sessions fail because they rely on holding massive amounts of data in a short-term working memory window without allowing the time necessary for this hippocampal consolidation. Hassabis uses a bimodal schedule. After executive duties, he begins a second shift of deep work from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. This uninterrupted block provides the temporal architecture for scientific synthesis. An immediate sleep block then initiates experience replay, cementing insights into long-term memory. Phase 4, biological experience replay, teaches that high-quality sleep and spaced retrieval are active components of the study cycle rather than its cessation. Sleep and intentional rest function as the biological execution phases of deep learning. During a 10-hour tournament match, Hassabis realized that hyper-specializing in chess yielded rapidly diminishing returns for general intelligence. Mastering one narrow domain represents a localized optimum. He pivoted towards asymmetrical transfer, the ability to apply the structural rules of one field to a completely disparate one. This cross-pollination builds a cognitive architecture that remains robust even as industries shift. Phase 5, interdisciplinarity, requires you to actively seek out these structural analogies, using the rigor of one subject to sharpen the reasoning of another. Hassabis measures genuine mastery through a thought experiment he calls the Einstein test. If an AI were trained only on scientific knowledge available up to 1911, could it independently theorize general relativity as Einstein did in 1915? This ability to generate novel insights by reasoning from first principles, rather than merely interpolating existing data, is what DeepMind sought to replicate in AlphaGo. This resulted in Move 37, a creative leap with a 1 in 10,000 probability that defied thousands of years of human Go theory. Internalizing first principles until they become intuitive allows you to escape the consensus of experts and generate paradigm-shifting leaps. In 2025, Hassabis delivered an address in Athens regarding the future of education. As AI capabilities shift on a weekly basis, the value of static, domain-specific facts is rapidly decreasing. This Athens doctrine declares that learning how to learn is the ultimate required skill. In the AI era, specific technical knowledge is vulnerable to immediate obsolescence. Foundational subjects like math and the humanities remain vital, but they must be utilized as the substrate for building overarching cognitive agility and ethical reasoning. Phase 6, long-term trajectories, demands viewing cognitive development as a multi-year project, continuously pivoting toward the complex systems thinking that AI cannot yet automate. The protocol requires macro-contextualization, strict sandbox constraints, deep algorithmic simulation, offline experience replay, rapid asymmetrical transfer, and long-term planning. Treating human cognition as an adaptable operating system allows us to navigate a world of shifting technological capabilities. If you optimize the internal hardware, you possess the capability to master any complexity the future presents.